G'day listeners and welcome again to the 3 Feet Radio Show. It's that time of the year. We're getting close to Suncorp Super Netball Finals, and joining me in the studio is my co-host, Luke Herbert. G'day, Luke.
G'day, Ben, and today's guest is another guest who has been relocated in Australia by the way that the Suncorp Netball League's hub system is working. And I got to say, this is going to be an interesting interview, and, you know, it's really nice to balance things out a little bit, Ben, because we have Kiwi guests on and we try to get international ones that aren't in Australia and New Zealand as well. So we seem to be doing the tightrope balance all right here.
We certainly do, but it's good that we do keep that balance. It's very important. And with one week of Suncorp Super Netball home and away games to go, the West Coast Fever are currently in the top 4. And joining us from the West Coast Fever is Verity Charles. G'day, Vez. How are you going?
Guys, hello. I'm doing well. Thank you.
First of all, just to get things going, how have you enjoyed hub life up there in Queensland?
Loving it. Have really embraced hub life here. The girls have been awesome. We've just had a really good setup. We've got our own little self-contained apartment, so I can cook every night and try and keep some kind of routines we do at home. But yeah, I'm really enjoying myself here.
And was there much of an adjustment period when you arrived? And what's the accommodations like, for the benefit of people that don't know?
Yeah, look, accommodation is amazing. I mean, you can kind of see here, this is just my little lounge room, and I've got my kitchen, I'm all sorted, bedroom to the side. It's like a mini little house for me. So absolutely loving it. In the heart of South Bank, so easy to get around. Not that we kind of get out too much. We kind of stay pretty tight in our little hub. But yeah, I actually found myself adjusting really quickly. I've lived out of home a fair bit, so been on the road since I was 15, so I think I'm pretty used to it. But just embraced having a bit of time to myself, and almost, I guess, I feel like I've kind of almost gone into a bit of a selfish mode because I'm just looking after me here, which is great. Aside from when we're out in the team and doing the team thing, otherwise I'm in my little room here doing my thing and just making sure I'm ready to go.
It must have been good, Verity, to knock off the Giants and their finals chances in your last game.
Yeah, it was a good game. Look, the Giants have been playing really good netting. We knew they were going to come out hard, so we knew we were up for it. And they did. You know, they beat us in that first quarter, which we're usually really strong in the first quarter. It's a strength of ours. But what I really loved was with us and what to see is we dug our way out of it. So I think that's really good going into finals as well, knowing that we can do that and to be challenged the way we were against them. I think it's just awesome prep to head in there.
To watch it on Sky TV, which is like pay TV. What was it like playing against the Giants midcourt?
Yeah, look, a quick, physical, it's just strong-hearted midcourt. You know every time what you're going to get. You're in for a massive game kind of thing. So they've got hands to everything. They're quite pesty. It's just got to grind it out. It's always it's a long, hard game. But to be honest, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that netty game. Had a lot of fun. And even though we were losing, to come up and then get the win was just really exciting. I'm just enjoying netty.
And one game to go before the finals, Vez. You've got Thunderbirds. What are you expecting from them, and how important is it to finish off the home and away season before finals strongly?
Huge game. Absolutely huge game. We know they're going to come out firing. You know, Thunderbirds are a classy side. And I just think just watching them through the comp, they're just getting better and better. And I think, man, look out for next year because they're going to be on the rise. They've got some really good players and some young talent coming through. And they're just going to be out to win this. You know, looking at social medias, looks like it's going to be Chelsea Pittman's last game. So, you know, with things like that happening in the team, you know that the team's going to want to get behind her and get a win for her. So, yeah, it's going to be big. We have to really we're going to have to work early and get that first quarter up, as we know that they can come back and sink too. So tough game ahead.
Yeah, Ben and I actually talked about Pittman off air one way or another. Between us, we've been following her top level netball career for about 10 years now. So, but just putting that aside, since the Thunderbirds are coming along nicely, does that suggest that the Suncorp League then is quite an even competition in terms of the difference between the top teams and those that are towards the bottom of the table?
Sorry, I just lost that last little bit.
Oh, okay, no worries. I'll take the second part of my point then again. Does that the Thunderbirds are coming along nicely as a team suggest that then the Suncorp League, is it a very even competition then between the difference? In other words, the difference between the top and bottom teams isn't that great?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's there's no game you can take lightly because every team literally has a shot in this competition. You know, there's on paper it looks, I think teams kind of look stronger than what they are, but teams are just coming together, you know, with not having big signings, and they're just linking and are putting the work in, and you see a real connection out there. So it's a very even comp, and that's what's really exciting. You don't know who's going to win what, and every game you've got to prepare like it's your last. So it's a do or die game for us every time we're out in court.
And just something probably a little bit more serious, it might be a bit touchy, Vez, please tell me if you don't want to talk about it. Netball fans are traditionally regarded as being quite vocal but not feral. You must have been a bit taken aback by the incident with the supporter in the Firebirds top. Can you tell us a little bit about what exactly happened?
Yeah, look, you know, to be honest, I kind of felt sorry for them when I look back at it. I think they've had, you know, a little bit to drink. They've obviously been out in the street and they've got their opinions, and that's cool. Just kind of spat at my feet and told me I'm pathetic and walked off, and that's okay. Like, you know, it's something I don't agree with, and I would never like that to happen to anyone or any athlete. I think it's quite disgusting, and also just in COVID times, it's probably not something you should be doing. But you know, if that's the kind of stuff that people are sinking to, I feel a bit sorry for them. So I hope they, you know, just find peace in their heart and can kind of grow up a little bit and sort themselves out. But yeah, it was an interesting time.
What can you tell us about the support you received afterwards on social media for that? Because I know when I read about it, I was actually horrified that it happened. I mean, you know, you come down to this part of New Zealand, and we're as wide-eyed as you can get. Being, you know, Invercargill was essentially the netball capital of New Zealand, but I don't know anyone that would not be horrified by what occurred.
Yeah, I mean, look, the support that came out of it was unbelievable, and that's probably you know, a positive that you take out is the netball community really rallied behind. People were sending photos in, asking if it was this or that, or and I just kind of, be honest, didn't want to take it any further or look into it. I was like, you know what, if they're not people like that, it's not worth it. Just leave it. They'll realize what they've done and hopefully wake up, you know, and sort it out. But to have the support from everyone, all the love coming in, that's the real netball community, and that's the real netballers that we love and see at each game and in every state around the world. You know, people love this game, and there are really good supporters out there. So you're always going to have one or two, you know, rotten eggs in the bunch, but that's life, isn't it? That's the life we live in.
What's it been like feeding Danielle Fowler this year? Absolute gun, and she's definitely some tall timber inside the circle, Vez.
A dream, you know. Jay and I get along extremely well, have a good connection, and then just to turn and sight her and to put a ball in is pretty lovely for me. So it makes my workload a heck of a lot easier. But not only that, she's just a down-to-earth, beautiful human, and you know, she's probably one of the best players in the world at the moment. And she's very humble and loving. So a really good egg on and off the court, and makes my job easy.
And was there any adjustment when you started to feed a taller shooter, just for those that watch the game but don't, you know, is there an adjustment period? Because sometimes, like, you can pick up a lot by watching the game on TV or in person at games, but other stuff you need to really either play the game or just talk to players.
Yeah. Oh, look, it takes a little bit to work in, you know, like you can't just, you know, a lot of people just say, oh, it must be so easy. And like, you know, in some terms it is, because I've got a big target down there, but you can't just throw a ball up and expect it to get it. You've got to have placement, you've got to have timing, and you've got to make it work for Jay. So we've got extremely good defenders in this comp as well that are working her out. They're moving off the body, they're on the body, they're, you know, so it's changing all the time. So you do need to adjust, need to sight. And I guess just having a connection off the court really helps us. We kind of get to know each other, and when I can kind of see her on the court and where she is, I know where to put it. So yeah, an adjusting period, but I think we've really gotten through that this year, and we've done well this year with it.
And being as close as you are to South Bank up there in Brisbane, have you thought about maybe doing some running and jumping and some parkour to try to show everyone just how good you were when you were a semi-finalist on Australian Ninja Warrior last year, Vez?
Oh man, I don't know if I'm wrapped in cotton wool here. We don't really leave the four walls too much. I get out for a few walks and things. This is probably the least amount of exercise I've done. I'm itching to get out there and go for a run and move around, but we're kind of just when we can stay inside, we do, away from the public, and just, I guess, to stay safe and protect the league, protect the team. So I'm doing a lot of more Netflix and TV watching than I ever have before. Not much ninja. So when I get back to Perth, we'll get back into it.
And just on a less serious note, can you recommend any Netflix titles to the viewers and listeners? Because there hasn't been a lot of stuff filmed since the pandemic started.
I'm watching, I'll keep watching it over and over again. It's called Upper Middle Bogan. It's a real Aussie show. And it reminds me a lot of my family. So it's comedy, an absolute crack up. And yeah, I'm loving that show at the moment.
You're saying it reminds you of your family. You're saying it reminds you of not just your family, but all of Grafton, or what are you trying to say, Vez?
Yeah, it's got Grafton feels to it.
Yeah.
You gotta embrace the bogan, you know?
All right, then. And just then, as a sort of then follow-up question, is there since you're limited in the way you can sort of walk around in that, is like watching Netflix, is that just like, does that help take your mind off the fact that you can't just go out for a walk or do the things you'd usually do?
Yeah, it does. We've been pretty busy. So, today, we've got, we had train this morning, we'll have gym the Savo, we've got meter and things during the day. So days are cruising pretty quickly. So there's not a lot of time to sit around and watch TV, so it's not too bad. But I think when we were playing the 2 games a week, I actually quite enjoyed it because you're just on the go nonstop. Now that we're back to 1 game a week, I'm noticing I've got a bit more time on my hands, and that's when you're kind of getting itchy feet and want to get out and about. So I usually get out and try and get a walk in, and at some point of the day. But I'm starting to see things now. I'm starting to get the itchy feet.
You and the other Fever girls were seen taking in a game of footy recently, and it made the news, which was a little bit funny, Vez, to see you on the news, because I hadn't seen you on the news for quite a while. It must have been good to see some live sport when not playing or training yourselves.
Awesome. Such a good game. And to get out as a group as well, leave the hotel, drive down to the Goldie and watch the boys play was unreal. And, to be able to do that in these times, we knew how fortunate we are. We loved that game and really appreciated that we can be out in the fresh air, watching the boys do their thing, and how good, nothing's better than live sport. So loved it.
And just for those not in the know, which teams did you watch?
Eagles and Bulldogs. So I'm slowly getting into AFL. I've always watched rugby and rugby league, being a New South Waleser. But yeah, I'm getting into AFL. I'm really liking it. Eagles went down, I think, by one point at the end. So it was a good game, but would have loved it to spin the other way, but that's okay.
And talking about rugby, obviously, Nathan, how have you been? How's everything been without Nathan there?
Yeah, look, I think I can say that Nathan and I are pros at doing distance. This is we're used to this, so it's kind of nothing unusual. It's been a little bit harder at the start because we got used to being, Nath being retired now and back home with me. We got used to kind of having time together, which was different for us. And now going back into distance, but we handle ourselves really well. And we know that, sport is such a short time in everyone's life and your career. So you just got to embrace, enjoy while we're here, and just live in the moment. And that's what we both try and do. And he's very supportive of me. So I'm pretty lucky.
All right, Vez, thanks very much for joining us. It's been so long, and I will tell the listeners that Vez sent me a beautiful message to see how I was going in lockdown down here in Melbourne. She's this absolute sweetheart, and she's always been like that with me. And if you do see her at a game, do go up and have a word to her. She's an absolute gem. Thanks for joining us, Vez.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your time, and hopefully after COVID, we see you in New Zealand for some pre-season games against our ANZ Premiership teams.
Absolutely.